विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि। सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। श्रुतम् एव हि यस्मात् मे भगवद्ऋषेभ्यः। Yasmat, since I have heard from venerable sages like you, Yusmat Sadrishebhyah, from great sages like you, Tardishokam Atmaviditi. Tardishokam one goes beyond shoka or the grief. Manastapam akrutartha buddhitam Atmavid ityatah. The knower of the self becomes free from akrutarthata, from the sense of inadequacy, because the self is of the nature of adequacy. Meaning, discovering the fact that I am adequate, one becomes free from the sense of inadequacy, and then whatever the consequences were there of looking upon myself or thinking of myself or believing myself to be an inadequate person, whatever consequences are there, is shoka. That also goes. So it is the change of perception about the self. That is basically what Vedanta is centered on, is freedom from grief, freedom from samsara. However, samsara is explained. It is explained as grief, explained as the cycle of birth and death, explained as bondage of karma. However, it is explained. But basically, what we want is become free and freedom from grief. freedom from dependence, freedom from being controlled. I just want freedom in every way. And usually I interpret that freedom as a given situation. Therefore, I define freedom as a set of situations. This happens, that is called freedom. That does not happen, that's called freedom. I discover that happening that or not happen something else may be freedom only momentarily, but later on, freedom is always to be explained as my own condition and not condition of something other than myself. Soham anatmitvat he bhagavah shochami. Anatmitvat, since I do not know the self, or saying that since I know the self wrongly. So not only do I not know the self in its true nature, I take it to be quite contrary to what it is. The self, which is complete in nature, is taken to be incomplete, inadequate, lacking, wanting. Sarvada shochami. So, santapye, all the time I am suffering mentally. Tamma shokasya param antam bhagavan tarayato. Atmajnana udupena. By the raft of knowledge, may the Venerable Sir make me reach the other shore of this ocean of grief. May I cross the ocean of grief. So this grief is called ocean. Because if one tries to overcome the grief or become free from grief by means other than self-knowledge, it's a never-ending pursuit. It is like that man who sees a golden necklace in the water, dives into water, tries to get hold of that, looks like he has got it, but he doesn't get it. It's like that. Always making wrong kind of attempts. So as long as any means other than self-knowledge is employed for becoming free from grief, so long it is not going to be successful. So it's called ocean. As long as ignorance is there, so long there is no freedom from grief. Therefore, of course, it is not a real ocean, but it's ocean created from ignorance. Bhavasagar savasukha gayo hai. In the wake of the knowledge of the true nature of the self, the so-called ocean gets dried up. So even though the expression is, may the Venerable Sir help me go beyond the grief, make me cross the ocean of grief, make me reach the other shore of this ocean, there is no ocean of grief as such. Right? But it can be described that way because it's a never-ending thing. I have been seeking to become free from grief from a time beginningless, from one birth after the other. In that sense, it can be called ocean. It's not a real ocean. Had it been real ocean, nobody could ever cross it. Tam evoktamantam hovacha. So now Sanat Kumara sees where sage Narada is. What is his knowledge of self, basically? So, the knowledge of scriptures and ultimately reflects the knowledge of self anyway. As the Tikakara will explain, from this knowledge of scriptures, ultimately, Sanat Kumara wants Narada to arrive at the knowledge of the self. So, Sage Sanat Kumara sees the basic problem. And as Sage Narada also admits, Anatmavitvat, since I do not know the self. Therefore, Sanat Kumara here presents a prakriya, a methodology of how to arrive at the knowledge of the true nature of self. So somewhere it is Panchakosha Viveka, it's a prakriya. Avasthatre Viveka, Durugdrishya Viveka, Satyamithya Viveka. From gross to the subtle. Panchakosha. And so here also a prakriya is applied. Beginning where Narada is, he is slowly led to where he should be. So that's the right way of teaching, approach of the teacher. Begin from where the student is. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, the teacher should teach what the student wants to learn, not what he wants to teach. So we start blaring out what we want to teach, but that very often doesn't work. Then we blame the listeners, we blame all these fellows who don't understand. That may be so. But Vaktureva hitajjadyam yatra shrota na buddhyate. But the shrota, the listener, is not buddhyate, is not enlightened, is not understood. Vaktureva hitajjadyam is jadyam, ignorance of the Vakta. Because Vakta should begin where the listener is, Shrota is. That is why Sanat Kumara asked Narada, please tell me first what you know, so that I can tell you something beyond what you know. So anatmavitvat eva shochami. Because of the ignorance of the self, I am grieving. And therefore, revered sir, may please help me reach the other shore of the ocean of grief by self-knowledge. If ignorance of that self is equivalent to or amounts to the ocean of grief, it is self-knowledge. So please teach me, give me the knowledge of the self. That is what says Narada, appeals to Sanat Kumara. Yet, so first of all, Sanat Kumara wants Narada to become free from any kind of notion he may have about his learning. Soham, you know what I know? Rigveda Madhyami, Yajurvedam, Samvedam, Atharvedam, Ityasa, Puranam. So first of all, it is not that you want to humiliate the student or anything like that. But you want the student to recognize where he is. Whatever kind of notion he may be entertaining about himself, but where he truly is, that he should see. That he knows where I have to reach. So why is this fellow doing it? What is your quest, first of all, Don't ask why they do this and why they don't do that. What do you want? Through wanting others to do that or not do that, I'm going to change the whole world, I'm going to enlighten them. What do you want? What is your quest? So that's what Swami Shivananda asked. What is your quest? So make him see all kind of so much of expenditure of activity and energy in doing this and that and correcting this and debating. What do you want? And so when one understands what I want, that is when there is a direction. So that's how, say, Narada is placed in his proper place. Yadvaikinchetat adhyagishtaha. Narada, whatever it is that you have studied so far, namayeva etat, it is nothing more than name, nothing more than words. As far as true knowledge is concerned, of course, dve vidye veditavye. So this is the true vidya. Iti hasmayat brahma vido vadanti parachaiva paracha. Paravidya and Aparavidya. So says Narada is well learned as far as the Aparavidya is concerned. So all of these Aparavidya. So just as Mundaka Upanishad said, so Aparavidya is Rig Veda, all these Vedas and everything was included in Aparavidya in Mundaka Upanishad, here also. So Veda is the same. But how you know the Veda? Ultimately, Paravidya also is only in Rig Veda or Yajur Veda. But Mantra Vedevasmi, Karma Vedevasmi, the Tapari, the purport of the Veda that I have understood is that Veda is teaching karma. Or all I know is the word meaning of these passages. So the Vachyartha becomes the Aparavidya, Lakshyartha becomes Paravidya, in technical words if you want to say. So from the Aparavidya, he has to be guided to the Paravidya. And therefore, a process is begun here, to slowly from gross to the subtle. Then we go to the now next passage, page 301. Uktam upapadayati. Yadhi kechat adhyagishtaha nama eva etata. Yad kinchan, whatever you know is nothing more than nama. Upapadayati. In what way? How do you say that? What I know or all I know is just nama, just word? Is explained with reasoning. So next passage. Namava Rigveda hai, Yajurveda hai, सामवेद है, आथर्वणश्च चतुर्थ है, इतिहास पुराण है, पंचम है, वेदानां वेद है, पितृ है, राशि ही, दैव है, निधि ही, वाको वाक्यम, एकायनम, देव विद्या, ब्रह्म विद्या, भूत विद्या, क्षत्र विद्या, नक्षत्र विद्या, सर्पदेवजन विद्या, नाम एव एतत्, नामोपास्व इति. So Rigvedam Adhyami, all of this was in the accusative case, now it is all in nominative case, same thing. Nama vai Rigveda hai. Rigveda is Nama. So whatever you know is Nama. Therefore, says Sanat Kumar, reiterates everything that Narada said, I know. So you know Rigveda is nothing more than Nama. Now was explained as word. Nothing more than words. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, all of this that said, Narada said, Nama eva etata, all of that is nothing but Nama. Nama upasvayati, therefore may meditate upon Nama. So that's what he knows. So he knows Nama. Alright, begin from there. So that also is Brahman. Because Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. What is Brahman? What is Ishvara? And therefore, begin with Nama as Brahman. See Brahman there. So, says Bhashyakara, Namava Rigveda hai, Yajurveda hai, इत्यादि नामैव एतत्. So Namavai, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Ityadi, all of that is nothing more than name. This Upasamharati, Nameva etatas. So the Tikakar earlier said that Nama eva etat is Upasamhara. So it is not Punarukti. Namava Rigveda. So Dvitiyen Rugadinam Prasidya Namatmakatvam Shabdatmakatvam Sadhyate. Now means that, so Nama Rigveda, Yajurveda means that all of these are words. Natu mithyatvam tathatve. So therefore that Nama or the word can be used as pratika, as a symbol for meditating upon Brahman. The Nama eva etata is upasamriyate, is upasamhara. Upasana vidhanartham. For enjoining upasana or meditation, the teacher says Nama eva etata. All of this name is upasamhara. So upakrama and upasamhara. Therefore, there is no punarukti involved. That's what the Tikakara explained. Kena rupena nama adartavyamiti ashankya. So in what way should I look upon adartavyam? How do I have to respect or revere the Nama? All of this is Nama. So in what way should I respect or adartavyam? Adar means reverence. In what way should I show the reverence towards Nama, respect towards Nama? In what way should I worship Nama? So Bhashyakara says, Nama upasva Brahma iti Brahma buddhya. So this passage does not say Nama Brahma iti, it says Nama upasva, it says. But the second passage says, Sayo Nama Brahma iti upaste. So second passage says one who meditates upon Nama as Brahma. Therefore, when in this passage the teacher says Nama upasva, may meditate upon Nama, means Nama as Brahma. So Brahma iti means Brahma buddhya. So this is upasana, is mental worship. And worshipping Ishvara, that's all. Worship is always worship of Ishvara. So meditation is of the nature of the mental worship of Ishvara. Saguna Brahma Vishayaka Sajatya Vritti Pravaha. Sajatya Vritti Pravaha, maintaining a current of thoughts. Saguna Brahma Vishayaka, of which the Vishaya, the content is Saguna Brahma, Brahman with qualification. That's what the mind can think of. So mind always dwells in the realm of the names and forms, qualifications, attributes. And the Vedic culture says that for thinking about Lord, even for praying the Lord, for meditating upon Lord, for worshipping Lord also, the mind needs an alambana, needs a prop, needs some help, needs a nimitta, needs a reason, needs also a pratika, a symbol. It is, even though all other people talk about Nirakara, Ishvara, etc., how they meditate, we don't know. Well, when the mind becomes ready, at some point you can meditate upon Nirakara. But every Tom, Dick and Harry cannot have expected, you can't begin with meditation of Nirakara. That's all they have, Nirakara. And so it is not that Vedanta or Hinduism does not talk about Nirakara, it certainly talks about that only. But not only Nirakara is Brahman, Sakara also is Brahman. What is Brahman? Akara means all the forms, attributes, everything is Brahman. In what way? Akara is Mithya, so Mithya becomes a basis for you to lead to Satyam. If you relate to Mithya in a certain way, this is called Upasana. So superimpose the idea of Brahman upon a pratika or a symbol, in this case Nama. Superimpose, so it's Om Nama. So therefore Pranava Sarvedeshu, and the Pranava, Omkara in all the Vedas. So take a name. In those days, Om. Or any of the Bijaksharas. So they were prevalent at that time. But Om is what we find most mentioned. So take that name. That is the Nama of Brahman. That's Ishvara's name. And therefore, look upon the name with the same reverence as you look upon Ishvara. So Adartavyam, with same reverence, with the same worshipful devotion. So for invoking the reverence in our heart, for invoking devotion, that is most important. What is most important, as Swamiji says, that who should worship? A devotee should worship. So for worship, I should invoke a devotee from me. And whatever helps me to invoke the devotee, I seek that help. The importance is not the means that I employ. Importance is what I accomplish as a result of those means. They fight about Saguna, Nirguna, etc. Important is myself, that a devotee should be invoked from me. That is important. For somebody it is this one, for somebody it is something else. What does it matter? So there can be many means as far as worship is concerned, but basically what is worship is thinking of the Lord with a worshipful mind, a prayerful mind. So Swami uses prayerful mind. Prayerful mind, maintain a prayerful mind all the time. Even when you perform your day-to-day activities, maintain a prayerful mind. But then, while performing day-to-day activity, it may be difficult to maintain prayerful mind because of my own ragadveshas. Therefore, the world with which I interact keeps on pushing my buttons and therefore provoking me with my ragadveshas. And therefore it is difficult to maintain a prayerful mind in the day-to-day activity for an ordinary person. Therefore, special acts of worship, where a part-time devotee is converted to a full-time devotee. Kaya vang manah karyamuttamam pujanam japas chintanam kramat. Therefore, perform the act of worship at the level of body, at level of speech, whatever you are comfortable with. So with all, you see, this is one culture which recognizes the diversity, that everybody is different. Now you cannot of course address everybody, so general classes. So there were Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So classification. Of course, there is no class which can include everything. So regardless of what classification you have, still it cannot include everybody. So there are always oddballs, always everywhere. You know, oddball means, in this is the language of baseball, an oddball. So it's different from other balls, and that, people don't know how to relate to that. Similarly, you classify the Brahmanas, they're oddballs always, In Brahmanas, they're not Brahmanas, not Kshatriyas. And so, you must have a special treatment for them. If you don't have, then there is a problem. So, we did not have special treatment for these fellows, how to deal with them. And so, they were all, he says, you are outcast, they were all punished. The method of management that these people employed was punishing the person who did not conform to the law, to the rules. Now that may not be the best way of management, punishing. So rewarding and punishing is the way of management that is generally employed in all ancient cultures. So you see a lot of repression, lot of also torture and cruelty because punishment. Still, this is what we know. Everybody recognizes that that's not the way to really manage or to correct situation. The fear goes only so anyway, diverting. The thing is that, the point is that take into consideration the diversity. This culture is outstanding as far as taking into account the diversity is concerned. People are not the same. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, recognize they are different. The goal is not the same. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they are different. God is the same, but there are different forms that people are comfortable in worshipping. So number of methods of worship, number of methods, so all diversity to try to accommodate as much as you can. So that is inclusive culture. To include everybody, to provide for everybody. But the managers did not do that. They were excluding people, so they excluded. Not here, get out, go out. So that's all these outcasts, when they all piled up to the extent that they are more than the real caste people. So that is not the problem of the system, it's the problem of management. The caste system is blamed, but it is the way the system was managed. Anyway, more enlightened the manager is, better the management is. Management requires two kinds of skills. The hard skill and the soft skill. Hard skill is all the rules and regulations. The soft skill is a person's capability of perceiving the subjective aspect, the objective aspect and the subjective aspect. The hard skills deal with the objective aspect. There is a subjective aspect. That is where the soft skill is required. So a doctor also gets all the reports of all kinds of that hard skill. From that to arrive at the judgment, what the actual problem is and what the appropriate solution is, that is soft skill. Anyway, so the thing is, but here, this upasana, coming back to our topic of upasana, as to how, what a variety is presented. What is important is not the outer structure, the objective aspect. What is important is the subjective aspect. Therefore, in all worship, what is important is invoking the devotee. Not the method of worship. That's where people focus and then they fight with each other. Which is superior and what is not superior. Nothing is superior because everybody is different. So what may be superior to me may not be superior to somebody else. What is important is the devotee is invoked. That's all. Bhakti is important. So that is why so many of these outcast people also bhaktas, they excelled because devotion. And so many learned people who did not devotion, they did not go too far. So upasana is mental worship of Ishvara. That kaya, vang and mana, this is the Upanishad only talks about the upasana at the level of mind. The karma kanda talks about kaya, vang, etc. Mana also. But here, this is worship at the level of the mind. Therefore, Brahma Buddhya. So important is Brahma Buddhi. That's important. And whatever helps you to create that Brahma Buddhi is good, is the right thing for you. So if Lord Krishna helps you to create in your mind Brahma Buddhi, that's the right thing for you. And if Hanuman does it, Ganesha does it, or any other form helps it, that's what matters. So there is no superiority as far as one form is concerned to the other form. So many Devis, every rickshaw is a different Devi behind, and every day you come to new goddesses. But for that fellow, that's the thing. So which Devi is superior? What is inferior? What is important is that a devotee, that Brahma Buddhi, that form enables you to discover in you the devotion and a devotee in you. So however superior mantra is, Gayatri mantra is, but if it doesn't do anything to me, what's the use of that mantra? So people pay a lot of attention to the objective aspect. Yes, the mantra has its effect, no doubt about that. But more important is the devotee that is invoked in. So if Rama does it, that is superior mantra for you. Which is the best mantra? That which invokes in me the devotee. So Nama iti Brahma Buddhya Upasva. Therefore, we look upon Nama as Brahman. Upasti prakaram drishtantena sphutayati. Upasti prakaram. What's the method of meditation? Sphutayati clarifies drishtantena. There should be nakara there instead of takara. Drishtantena sphutayati. Bhashyakara clarifies or makes clear in what way you meditate with the help of drishtanta or illustration. Yatha, Bhashyakara says, Yatha pratimam Vishnu buddhya upaste tadvata. Standard example of Bhashyakara. Yatha, so people say whether was he a Shaivite or a Vaishnavite, So one Mahatma says Bhashyakara was a Vaishnavite, worship of Vishnu, because every time he says Pratimayam Vishnu. So Pratima, Shaligram, that's the example you always find. He doesn't say that on a linga you meditate upon Shiva, that example we never find. So he must be Vaishnava, a Bhakta of Vishnu. So, Yasa Pratimam Vishnu Buddhya, because always Lord Shiva is the Bhakta of Vishnu, and if he is the incarnation of Lord Shiva, then he must be best devotee of Lord Vishnu. So that's a very nice way of reconciling with everything. If he is incarnation of Vishnu, he will be Bhakta of Shiva and vice versa. So Yasa Pratimam Vishnu Buddhya Upaste, just as one meditates upon or worships Vishnu with the help of Pratima, meaning superimpose the idea of Vishnu upon Pratima. Look upon Pratima as Vishnu. Tadvada, in that way, look upon Nama as Brahma. namni brahma drishtya upasyamane kim syat. Alright, you meditate upon nama as Brahma, kim syat. So what's the result of that? The next passage says that Sayo nama brahmetyupaste yavan namno gatam tatrasya yatha kamacharo bhavati yo nama brahmetyupaste asti bhagavo namno bhuya iti namno vava bhuyostiti tanme bhagavan bravitviti. So, nama brahmeti upaste, one who meditates upon nama as Brahma. So, what is the result of that meditation, upasana? Yavan. So, here meditation also means identification. So, here ultimately the meditator gains such a degree of concentration and identification that he essentially becomes nama. So, he becomes Brahma, but Brahma as nama. So, meditating upon Brahma, he becomes Brahma. But he meditates upon Brahma as Krishna, he becomes Krishna. So, that aspect of Brahma. Similarly, since he meditates upon Brahman as Nama, or Nama is Brahma, therefore, he becomes Brahman. Which Brahman? Brahman, Nama, that is Brahman. So, whatever is the status of Nama, that's the status that he gains. So, Yavan namnah gatam, whatever is the reach of name, nama, tatrasya yatha kamacharo bhavati. So, yatha kamachara, freedom of movement, kamachara, chara means movement, kamachara, freedom of movement. He attains freedom of movement in the realm to which the name spreads. So, whatever is extent of the name, reach of the name, in that realm, he gains the freedom of movement. Who? Yo nama brahmeti upaste. Again, that is upasamhara, one who meditates upon nama as Brahma. So then says the Abhinava Narayanandra, Brahma drishtya namatra dhyanat na shoka nivrittihi. Brahma drishtya nama matra dhyanat, meaning that realizing Brahman as nama, na shoka nivrittihi. So Brahman realization is there, but shoka nivritti, if you realize Brahman as nama, then na shoka nivritti. Why? Namnah vikaratvena tadjnanasya atmajnanatva abhavat. So only when you know Brahman as Atma, as the self, that is when shoka nivritti is. So even if one knows Brahman as Nama, then that's an achievement, no doubt about that. But still, that he expands himself now. So far, his freedom of movement is only where his body is, so far. So by meditating upon Brahman as Nama and identifying with that, his freedom of movement is much greater to wherever the Nama extends, that is where his freedom of movement is. Meaning that he has gained a lot of freedom as compared to what he had before. But even that freedom also is not adequate to make him free from grief still. Meaning that he does not become free from the sense of inadequacy still. He is certainly more adequate than what he was before. So maybe his intensity of suffering will be less. But still, he does not become free from shoka or suffering. Namnah vikaratvena What is vikara? Something that comes and goes, and something that is subject to modification, something which is limited, something which is perishable. Therefore, it does not become free from the idea that I am perishable. I am great, all right, but still does not become free from the idea that I am vikara, I am modification, I am perishable. It doesn't become free from that. Therefore, atmajnanatva abhavat. So that knowledge is not the knowledge of the self. Because self is what? Nirvikara. So it was all said earlier. In the discussion of mantravid and atmavid, that mantravid, karmavid, so karma karyam vikara, etc. And so Atma is nirvikara. So until he comes to know that I am nirvikara, I am changeless, I am imperishable, I am immortal, until then he cannot get freedom from shoka or grief. Atah anya eva atma vaktavyah. So therefore, Atma should be different from Nama, because Nama is vikara. Atma cannot be vikara. Therefore, Atma must be different from Nama. Therefore, it abhiprayana pruchyati. With that abhipraya, with that intention, says Narada asks. So said, Kimasti bhago namno bhuyah iti. He Bhagavah, O Venerable Sir, is there something which is superior to Nama Bhuyah? Bhuya has several meanings. One meaning is better, superior. Other is bhuyo, bhuyo, again and again. So, bhuya also means prachuratvam, or bhuya means also repeating. Here, prachuratvam. Is there namna bhuya? Is there something greater than name, nama? Recognizing that that becoming nama is not still becoming Atma. Therefore, is there something greater than nama? Says namno va bhuya asti. So say Sanat Kumar says, yes, there is something bhuya, greater, superior to nama. Tanme Bhagavan bravetu iti. The Venerable Sir, may please tell me about that. Otherwise, the lecture will not proceed. So, every statement creates a further desire to know, and that's how the discourse continues. So, this also is a very beautiful thing, because it's a live teaching tradition. This is a live dialogue between the teacher and the student, the disciple. And so we can see also the process of how slowly the transformation happens in the disciple. So from a atheist, from a non-believer, from a, what shall I say, a revolter, so a fellow who revolts from that. How he became a conformist, believer, preacher. So that's how the transformation. Here also, so transformation takes place in the student. How Arjuna also got transformed from a warrior to a jignasu. So Bhashyakara says, Sayastu nama brahmetyupaste tasya yat phalam bhavate tachrunu yavan namno gatam namnah gocharam tatra tasmin नाम विषये अस्य यथा कामचारः कामचरणं राज्ञः इव svavishaye bhavati. Says to Nama Brahma ityupaste, so one who meditates upon Nama as Brahma, tasya yat phalam bhavati tashrunu. Hey Narada, may you listen to the fruit, the result of the one who meditates upon Nama as Brahma. Yavan namnah gatam namnah gocharam. Whatever is the extent of Nama, the reach of Nama, whatever Nama covers, it covers everything. But covers the whole gross universe, it covers. So universe also has different levels. Of that, the grossest level is covered by Nama. And subsequently, subtler and subtler levels will be covered by the subsequent, the means that will be given. So, yavan nam no gatam nam no gocharam tatra tasmin nam vishaye asya yatha kamachara kamacharanam bhavati. So, he has the freedom of movement in the realm where the Nama extends. The example is given, yatrajñah eva svavishaye bhavati. Just as the king has freedom of movement in his own domain, similarly also this upasaka has freedom of movement in the whole region where the name has its reach. Says Bhashyakara, yo nama brahmetyupaste ityupasamharaha. So again, yo nama brahmetyupaste is upasamhara. It's concluding the topic of meditation and the phalashruti. Then of course comes this tika now. So then Narada says that even if I do that, still I cannot become free from grief, because I am still in the realm of vikara, realm of modification, change. I still have not overcome the change. Therefore, is there something superior to that? So then, Bhashyakara says, Kimasti bhagavaha namno bhuyaha adhikataram yad brahma drushti arham anyata ityabhiprayah. Kimasti bhagavaha namno bhuyah iti. O Venerable Sir, is there something bhuyah? So adhikataram, superior, better than nama, O revered Sir. So what is adhikataram? In what way superiority is in what way? Yad brahma drushti arham anyata. Is there something other than nama also superior to nama, which also is arham, which is fit for brahma drushti, which can also be meditated upon as Brahman? So nama, of course, can be meditated upon. Is there something else also which can be meditated upon Brahman, which is superior to nama? So says the Tika, Brahma drishtyarham iti brahmatvena jnatum arhati. Is there something other than nama, arhati, that is fit for being known as, meaning being meditated upon as Brahman? So the Tikakara continues in line 31, Naradena Atma eva prushtaha. So said Narada did not ask about all this. He just said, Tarti shokam atmavit. And revered Sir, may help me reach the other shore of the ocean of grief. Meaning that, give me the knowledge of the self. Because Narada knows what can make him cross the ocean of grief is self-knowledge, is very clear. So even though Narada did not say that, please give me the Upadesha about Atma, essentially that is what Narada is asked for. So Narada Atma eva prushtaha. Narada is only asked about Atma. How? Tardi shokam Atma iti. In the statement that this knower of the self goes beyond the grief. In those words, says Narada, essentially or effectively asked about the Upadesha, about the Atma. तथापि सर्वांतरस्य आत्मनः सहसा प्रतीतिः शिष्यस्य उत्पादितुम् अशक्या इति. And still, Sage Sanat Kumara feels that to create in Narada immediately the knowledge about the self, ashakya is impossible. So from where Narada is, in that mind that Narada possesses, he is in the realm of Nama, the grossest possible realm right now. From there to lift his mind from that which is subtler than the subtlest is not possible. So tathapi sarvantarasya, Nama is not sarvantara, Atma is sarvantara. Sarvantarasya atmanah sahasa pratitihi shishyasya utpaditum ashakyayati. It is impossible to create in the disciple the pratiti, the realization, the knowledge of Atma, which is Sarvantara, the self of all. Idi pratham sthulam nama bodhitavan. Therefore, Sage Sanat Kumara begins with what is sthulam, which is gross, which is most evident, which is nama. That's where he began. Tasmin eva atmatva jnanena. So may you know the Nama is Brahman, or Nama is Atma. Kim bhuyasti iti prushte. What is it? Tasmin anatmatva jnanena. All right. So prasam sthulam nama bodhitvan tasmin anatmatva jnanena. So when Sayyid Narada realized that this is not Atma, this is Anatma, kim bhuyasti iti prushte, is there something superior to that? Naradena tadabhyantaram vacham atmatvena bodhayati. But atmatvena bodhayati. So the next one says the speech is Atma. So then he should know Nama is Atma. Then is there something better than this? Realizes that still it is Vikara. Then he wants to know, is there something better than that? Then Vacham Atmatvena bodhayati. But anyway, let us put it this way, that he recognizes Nama as Atma, then finds that there is still Vikara, the way it cannot be Atma, therefore comes to the conclusion that Nama is Anatma. So now he wants to know, is there something that deserves to be called Atma? Because I discovered that Nama is not Atma. So that way also you can say. So meaning that when Sage Sanat Kumara says, Nama upasvaiti, so may you look upon Nama as Brahman. So he now realizes Nama is Brahman. But still it is Vikari and therefore it cannot be Atma. So is there something now which is superior to this? So Vacham Pratyega Atmatvena bodhayati. Then Sanat Kumara says, okay, speech is Atma. Kramena Mukhyam Atmanam bodhayami. Thus, Kramena, thus in this succession, Mukhyam Atmanam bodhayami, I will ultimately give him the knowledge of the Atma in this true sense. Deviprayana Sanat Kumara ahayati. So with that in mind, Sanat Kumara says, Sanat Kumara aha namno vava bhuyah asti eva ityuktah aha yadi asti tanme bhagavan bravitviti. So with that in mind, that I will slowly lead Narada in successive steps are leading from Nama to Atma. So with that in mind, Sanat Kumara said, did not say Atma is superior. So, wow, Nam Navaya Bhuya Asti Eva. He Narada, indeed, there is something superior to Nama. Iti Ukta, when said Narada was told like this, then he Narada said, Yadi Asti, Tanme Bhagavan, Bravedu. If there is something superior to Nama, Bhagavan, the Venerable Sir, may please tell me about that. So says the Tikakara, Namadibhya Prathak Bhutam Brahm Pratyagatmana Bodhayitum Eva Namadi Upanyasaha. So Namadi Upanyasa, this presentation here of Nama, Vak, Manaha, Sankalpa, that whole succession is there. Why? Just to know, to communicate that Atma is different from each one of these. So from the grosser to the subtler to the subtler to the subtlest. So Namadibhya Prathak Bhudam Pratyagatmanam Bodhayitum. The Pratyagatma, the innermost self, is Prathak Bhudam, is separate from Nama and all of these up to the prana. So only to convey that alone is the Nama, is the presentation of Nama, etc. Not for Upasana. Upasana vidhanandu mandanam chittaikagryaya. So even though Sanat Kumara says Nama upasvaite, so Sanat Kumara prescribes a meditation. So the Tikakara says mandanam, it is for the less developed students. Chitta ekagraya. So those who need the chitta ekagrata, those who need the focus of the mind, concentration of the mind, for them the upasana is prescribed, not for everybody. So those who do not require chitta ekagrata, they just to see that Nama is not Atma, speech is not Atma. But for those who require that, at every stage they may meditate and gain further and further ekagrata, concentration of mind. Ashritya vidhana nyayana uchyati purvameva uktam drashtavyam. Ashritya vidhana nyayana. You have to go to the earlier page. (296). That was in the footnote number 1. Dadna indrikamasya juhayat idyatra yatha prakrita agnihotra ashritya dadhi indriya uddeshyana vidhiyate tadvata. So we already discussed earlier that in the subject matter of Agnihotra, in the Karma Kanda, the discussion was about Agnihotra. Prakruta Agnihotra. Agnihotra was the topic under discussion. Then a statement came. Dadna indriya kamasya juhuyaditi. Indriya kamasya, one who is desirous of, indriya means vigor of the sense organs, dadna juhuyat, he should offer dahi or curd. So, three things are there. Agnihotra, Dadhi is to be offered. Indriya, the vigor of the sense organs is what is intended. So, Indriya Uddeshena. So, what is intended is the vigor of the sense organs. What is to be offered is Dadhi or curd. Where? So, no, this is to be done where? This was the question. In Karma Kanda, the question arose that Dadna Indriya Kamasya Juhuyat, that may one offer curd if desirous of the vigor of sense. Where? So then ultimately the conclusion arrived was that this is in Agnihotra Karma. So this is Karma Kanda problem. There is statement Dadna Indriya Kamasya Juhuyat, one desires of indriya or vigor of sense organs should offer dadhi or curd. But where? In Agnihotra. So, from all the context they arrive at this conclusion. So, Agnihotra is the ashraya. Dadhi is the uddesha is what? Indriya is the uddesha. And dadhi is vidhiyate, the offering of dadhi is what is enjoined here. Three things are there. Similarly, in the current topic that we are, the nama is the ashraya. What is vidhiyate? Upasva, the meditation is what is enjoined. For what? For the chitta ekagrata, for the concentration of mind. So, chitta ekagram is the uddesha. And then upasana is what? What is enjoined. Where? In the context of nama. So, when you are talking about nama, you have to meditate upon nama for chitta ekagrata. That's what it means. So that way, these next two passages, 4th and 5th also, are done. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.